Coming to you live from City Current Studios in Germantown, Tennessee, it's Stephen Kirkpatrick with Executive Speakers on Speakers. I've got Zappos consultant and Delivering Happiness CEO Jenn Lim on the phone with me today. We're going to talk about how to be happy at work, how to be true to your authentic weird self, and answer the age-old question of if I am cool enough to go into Burning Man. It's getting warm outside, so stick around. It's going to be awesome. Hey everyone, I am so happy to have Jenn Lim on the phone with me today. Jenn Lim is the fearless and innovative CEO and co-founder of Delivering Happiness. From her over 20 plus years, lessons learned in culture and consulting, the proven results from transforming companies and cultures come back to her simple mission to inspire science-based happiness, passion, purpose at work, home, and in everyday life. Jenn, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Really excited to have this conversation with you. How are you?
Man, I am awesome, except for the fact, Andrew, that I was stuck in traffic for like 35 minutes. It was awful. It was awful. Let's talk about how we don't deliver happiness in a day. It's called being stuck in traffic, right? So, Jenn, you live in the Bay Area. How do you handle traffic?
I use a technique called expectation management.
Ooh.
So basically, I expect there's traffic all the time.
Ooh.
And so when I'm in it, I figure out other ways to use my time. And so then it's actually not that bad.
That's why she's a consultant, ladies and gentlemen. That is smart. That is smart. Hey, all right, let's talk about this. If you could pick whatever way you wanted to get to work every day, what would it be? For me, it would be downhill skiing. Legit. Like I have like a nice like blue slope where my house was, and like literally I could ski right into my office. That's what I would. Jenn, what would you do?
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, what would you do?
Well, I kind of already have an ideal situation because my office is my home. So I roll out of bed and it's my home and my office at the same time. But if I had to actually commute.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you for playing the game. I appreciate it.
That'd be a different story. I would probably say electric bike. I don't know.
Electric bike. Okay, why not a regular bike? Why electric bike?
Just because, it gets hilly here. And I don't know if you've been to, if you've ridden bikes on hills or
yes.
I don't know if you've been to Burning Man, but
yes.
Sometimes when you have, some power in it when you need it, it's actually kind of nice. So you don't have to sweat as much, but you still get some exercise.
Hey, Jenn, I am sorry to lower your expectations of me, but I'm not cool enough to go to Burning Man. So
actually, the more uncool you are, I think the more fun you'll have at Burning Man. Seriously.
Oh gosh.
Taking away all the hype of all that stuff. Whatever you read in the media, it's not all true.
So are you an annual goer to Burning Man?
I've gone for 7-8 years now. The fact I can't remember specifically means something. And I think I might do a hiatus this year, like the 7-year itch, if you believe in that concept of maybe I'll take a break this year. But yeah, I've been going. It's been, it's quite, I would recommend it at least once in a lifetime.
What's your favorite thing about Burning Man?
It's weird. DH, we always talk about values and purpose and all that. There's an underlying thing about the values of Burning Man of basically being true to who you are. Mm-hmm. And that can mean anything. So that's why I'm saying, looking past the media, it really is a place where, you're in the middle of a desert and there's a makeshift city of, now it's 80,000 people, but you can do whatever you want in a way that is real to you. So you just take a walk by yourself in the middle of the desert and see amazing art. I remember the moment, the first time I was there, I was riding a bike and I felt like, I don't know about you, but when I was starting to ride a bike, I had tassels on my bike. I had a banana seat.
I
felt that feeling again. I imagine you do actually.
I still do. Is that a problem?
No, that makes you perfect for Burning Man, actually. Yeah. Bring that bike to Burning Man, you'll fit right in.
Yeah,
but,
there you go.
That feeling of freedom in the middle of the desert, just riding my, banana seat bike in my head, just like that was the best. That's what I love about it.
Okay. And you've already touched on it a little bit, but what makes Burning Man so great? You probably couldn't tell me what kind of performances or who was there 7, 8 years ago, right?
No,
But
no,
you remember the culture, and you go back because of the culture.
That's true to some extent, yeah. The culture and the freedom to be who we are as people. But yeah, both.
Yeah, but I guess I would argue that the culture leads to people being free, like, because it's like that's kind of the expectations, I guess, is what I would say.
Yeah, it's part of I think they call it principles or something like that. They have a different word for it, but in our terms, it's values. And they have 10 values. And one of it is, just being that true, authentic self. And for DH terms, we call it be true to your weird self. That's like our number one core value.
Yeah. So why is that? Okay. I mean, I love that. I absolutely love that. Be true to your weird self. Where did that come from?
I guess like back in the day when I was at Zappos as a consultant, and we were just trying to figure out like, how do you scale a company?
Right.
And back in the day, it wasn't about like, what do you do about culture? Culture wasn't really a buzzword back then, but it was about people. And it was about how do I personally want to show up to work and not hit snooze buttons a million times before I want to get out of bed. And the idea was, well, how do you really foster and nurture and like create a foundation of these values so that, number one, I can be true to my weird self. And then everyone else can be true to their weird self. So I think the term weird came from the idea that everyone's weird, whether they believe it or not, or whether they want to embrace it or not. And so we just want to acknowledge the weirdness. And, you can, in more political terms, it's like diversity, inclusion, but
sure, we
just stick to weirdness because embracing that weirdness makes us authentic, and it comes out, in a real way.
I could totally be senior vice president of weirdness for a company. Like, I couldn't do diversity and inclusion, but I could do senior vice president of weirdness. I would totally own that. I would totally own that title. That'd be so great.
I could see that. I'm sure your wife would agree too.
Oh, Jen. Oh, my poor wife. she has to put up with it all the time. Oh my gosh.
I haven't met her, but I feel for her. Sorry.
Oh my God. You know what? I mean, like, yeah, it's so funny. Like, on our wedding night, like whenever we got married, people would come up to her at our reception. They'd be like, "We're praying for you." Just know we're praying for you a lot. So she needs it. So like I said, she appreciates the sympathy and needs all the prayers. But anyways,
makes a difference.
It does. But I think it's interesting too, just talking about be true to your weird self and having a culture where weirdness and differences are celebrated and people feel free to kind of be who they are. How have you seen that translate into work performance? If you have a place that's truly saying, "Hey, we value your weird self," how do you see that translate into the bottom line or into performance or into productivity?
Yeah, I mean, that question just nails it like squarely as to what we as DH are trying to do. There's like, we're delivering happiness, but in the end, what it means is meaningful happiness for a person, an individual. And it's not all about rainbows and unicorns. It's actually something more meaningful than that, like living true to your weird self and living your higher purpose. But what we've seen, whether it's Zappos or our experiences with our clients or all the research that's been coming in, and it's coming in droves these days, of number one, when people feel free to live their authentic self, they'll be that much more productive, that much more engaged, that much more communicative, and that much more honest, and trustworthy in ways that they're expanding themselves to, in the end, connect to what your company is doing.
Right.
So as long as your company has, and this is this is a big if your company has a strong sense of higher purpose, if your company has like a strong sense of values, then that entertains the right people to come in to say, hey, these are my values and this is my higher purpose and this is how it aligns with yours. And so that when you see that click, that connection is when you see that productivity go. So like as an example, salespeople, studies show that when you have salespeople that are actually, more engaged and happier, they produce more sales for the company. I mean, they just sell more because it's just like, it's within their own DNA of doing it because it's aligned with who they are and what they want to do from a higher purpose standpoint. And so you see this across all, like we're talking about sales, but you see this through IT, you see this through customer service. Like, why do people want to pick up phones and answer and talk to customers all the time? Because there's some sense of they're providing a sense of higher purpose and service to the world, namely that customer at that time. So it's just really incredible to see the results of like how at the end of the day, when you have productivity and engagement high, then your company will benefit more because you're making more money and you're saving more money because you're not having to fire and rehire. And it all just makes bottom and top line sense.
Yeah, that's a great answer. It makes a lot of sense. Let's take it a little bit different way. Let's talk about kind of the first 3 to 4 months with employees. So I think you did a really good job of saying, hey, if companies do a really good job of articulating their values, articulating what the company's quote unquote weird self is. I'm going to keep using that weird self thing this whole time, Andrew, because it's just like awesome. And then you do a good job of bringing in employees that they're like, hey, I like your values, your higher purpose. Like, I'm in. What should those first 3 to 4 months look like as far as training, engagement, to make sure there's not that turnover, make sure there's not that burnout? Like, what would you say is like, hey, you've got to nail these couple things in the first 3 to 4 months with these people to kind of make sure they're further brought in to the higher purpose of the company?
Yeah, I mean, I see it as now more than ever in terms of recruiting and onboarding. So the recruiting side, like even before you get to the onboarding side, essentially, like the analogy is to dating.
Yep.
And given that there's so many things that are changing around the world, people have a lot of decisions to make. Sometimes it's just too much to handle. So it's, I think, important for those first few months, even before the onboarding process, is to get into the dating game of understanding each other and just actually seeing how things go in real live action. Like, let's do this project together, or let's work on this, let's work on something specific together to get a sense of, because, there could be amazing people that are awesome at interviewing.
Right.
And they get through that. And then it's like, oh, wait, holy crap, I didn't sign up for this. And so that's why, like, just prolong that time for the dating game to get a sense of who that person is. Are they willing to accept these values? Are they willing to accept that this is our purpose? And more importantly, are they willing to contribute back to what this whole company and team is all about? In that process, then you're able to see it's like a two-way sort of dialogue and relationship. Hence the dating game of like, are we going to go to the next step? Are we going to go steady? Oh wait, are we getting engaged? Oh wait, we're great. We're going to actually get married, that kind of thing. In that process, there's a lot of weeding out in a productive way, and actually not a personal way either, because there's a lot of self-selection that goes on in that process of maybe that candidate just like, you know what, this is not for me. I'm going to go. And that's why, Zappos had this notorious thing, they still do, for paying people to quit, because in the end, if we think about from financial terms, every single person that you bring in, if it's not a right fit or a wrong hire, it costs the company 150 to 300% of that person's salary. So that's why the dating process is so important, because you'll save more money in the end, and you'll actually have a more tighter, stronger culture, and therefore company as a benefit.
Take me back to kind of the beginning of Zappos, whenever you're talking about how to scale a company and just kind of some of the thoughts that were tossed around. What were kind of two things that you, looking back on it, reflecting on that time, were like, hey, we really nailed this? Like, these were two decisions that were pivotal, but we made. What were two of those things that you said, yes, we nailed this, like we got this right?
Hmm.
Or you can go three or four.
I like how you said two, because it makes me dance a little bit. So
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, two. We'll do two. All right. So number one was launching the core values.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that, though, was the way it was done. So, like back in the day, and even today, senior leadership executives go off site to some fancy resort and say, oh, let's develop our core values. And they do it, and they come back on Monday and say, oh, these are our core values, just live it. But that's not what happened at Zappos. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah,
everyone go.
But, right. But what Zappos' approach was, we're going to ask everyone in the company at the time, what are their own personal core values? And over a year's time, it took this long to really get all that data, get a sense of what are the most important values of the people at that time, including leadership, but everyone else as well. Because what changes the whole dynamic of that is that everyone is bought into it.
Yeah.
And everyone owns up to it, because, hey, this is the majority of what we feel our values are. Do you believe in these or not? And so that's when you get 5, 10%, 15% of your team, your company, saying, no, actually, these are not my values. And they actually self-select and leave. So I think number one, in retrospect, that was a different way of doing values. And lo and behold, like fast forward 15 plus, maybe 20 years later, the values are still there, in place. So that's number one.
And number two?
Should I go to number two now?
And number two?
As I'm still reflecting.
Okay. I can ask Andrew. I can ask Andrew what he had for lunch if you want to reflect some more. I mean, I can buy you time.
So, yeah, no, because there were so many different things. But I guess if I had to summarize it, it's the fact that it was a petri dish for experimentation. And so one example of that petri dish experimentation was the culture book. And the culture book was basically this random idea that, and don't judge, but random ideas that usually come up to something was probably over some vodka or drinks or some sort of thing. And it was like, hey, how do you actually capture and describe culture of a company? And the idea was like, well, ask our employees, ask them.
Yeah.
And so we're like, all right, cool. So Tony's like, hey, let's do this culture book thing. I'm like, all right, sounds like a good idea to me. And so we asked all the employees to submit 2 to 3 paragraphs of what culture means to them.
Hey, really quick.
The key there.
Yeah, sorry, really quick to interrupt you. How many employees are we talking about at this time?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. That was like, I wouldn't just say 1,500.
Oh, okay. There we go. I was thinking like 300, but 1,500. All right, good. That's.
Let me. I want to look. You're jogging my memory here, so let me think. Because we did it over several years. I'll dial that down. Maybe let's just say 1,000. I mean, I can look it up again.
No.
Back in the day.
That's still more than I thought. I mean, that's a lot. Okay, so we're gonna ask the employees.
Ask the employees what does Zappos culture mean to you? Very simple question. And the key there, though, is that the decision was to publish everything except for grammatical errors, like transparently. So exactly what they said. Good and bad. And so that became a real honest look as to what does culture mean? Well, let's have our employees define it for us. And so I think that was, we talk about transparency these days, but back then it was like kind of a big risk because we didn't know what people were going to say. But we did it anyway and just put it in the book and put it out there. And interestingly enough, like once we started sending it out, it made employees feel heard and important, because that's what we were trying to do. But at the same time, it unintentionally became the brand book for Zappos. And even though they didn't ship anything outside of the U.S., we started getting fan mail from like people in Japan or Brazil talking about, I love this company, but they had no idea. Like they never touched product. They never touched the customer service. They just say, this is a really cool concept.
Yeah.
You actually care about people and happiness. So it's I think in hindsight that, now that culture is such a big buzzword, the fact that it was a culture book back in the day was kind of a nice memory. Thanks for giving me time to reflect.
Yeah. No, hey, I'm glad to do it. Here's my next question. So why do you think Tony/leadership/you, why were y'all willing to take
a lot of flashes?
Well, it's my show. I can have as many splashes as I want to. Okay, come on.
Yeah, you're the commander of weirdness right now. So yeah, please go ahead.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I'm the commander of weirdness. I'm not the senior VP of weirdness. I'm the commander of weirdness. That's even better. I got my PhD. I've got my PhD in weirdness leadership. Okay, Andrew. Love this, Jenn. You're my spirit animal right now. I'm telling you, we were so vibing. Love it. Okay, back to my question.
Yeah.
Why were y'all willing to take that risk of being that vulnerable and opening yourself up to that whenever it wasn't the quote unquote cool thing, in thing, trendy thing to do?
I think there's probably two answers. Going back to that two thing.
I like it.
Let's roll with it. Number one, that's when Tony and I started geeking out on books on positive psychology.
Okay.
And scientific happiness. So a lot of stuff that we do, with DHA, it was rooted back in like there's actual data, research, and science behind this whole notion of happiness. And so I think that made it more substantial of these aren't crazy ideas that, hey, people want to be happy. How do we do it? Yep. Like it's kind of academic at that time, but use the data and apply it to our lives.
Yeah.
And, being in a company, that's part of our lives. And like, let's apply it to our organization. Like you do it so that everyone can feel this way.
Mm-hmm.
And so that I think kind of opened the gateway to it. It's the gateway drug to happiness.
Yeah.
And then was the science. And then the second thing, I think it was a bit selfish.
Right.
It was like we as individuals, Tony and I have very different stories. Like I got laid off from my job. I did the whole .com dance. Made tons of, I don't want to say tons. I made a lot of money, title, and status in that time. Mm-hmm. And then I lost it all because I got laid off. Tony, on the other hand, sold his company to Microsoft for a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he was, on the other side of the money spectrum.
Yeah.
We did this journey together, climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, and it was a weird reflection again, but we were both thinking the same thinking the same thing. Excuse me on that. But it was about money because it was like, what would we do with our lives if money didn't matter? And at that time, Zappos was actually not doing well. They were on pretty much the brink of bankruptcy. And then I was not doing well because, I got laid off. And so that moment when we summited Kilimanjaro and we were both thinking, what the heck? Like, this is amazing. Like, this is what we as human beings can do in life. It just felt like anything was possible.
Yeah.
So coming back after that, Tony made his decision to invest his own money into Zappos. And then I came back and I got hit in the face with the news that my dad had colon cancer. So Mike Tyson has this quote, like, everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the face. So after that, it was just like, what is this all for?
Yeah.
And the whole money thing, the whole title status thing just went away.
Yeah.
And that's when it was rooted in what would we do with our lives if money didn't matter and we didn't fear failure. So that's there are two answers. Keeping it to two.
Keeping it to two. There's a lot there, and like I said, that's definitely that's pretty awesome what you did, kind of with how you use, I guess, adversity to make positive changes, positive impact, which is always a cool story. Hey, give me a case study from DH. Like, what's a company that you've seen kind of turn around because of DH philosophy, and kind of share that story if you don't mind. Would love something specific.
Yeah, of course. There's so many now, and one of my fundamental beliefs, and actually it's a value of ours at DH, is inspire and be inspired.
Yep.
And the fact that we've been working with some like amazing people and companies that have taken this into heart, and heart and bank actually, investing in this concept and realizing the benefits. But I guess one of the ones that come top of mind is a company called Kampa.
Yep.
And they're based out in Turkey. And so this is a construction materials and service company, and been around for a while. I think it was 31 years. And here's one of the VPs, kind of going through a downtime in his own life, not even wanting to go to work for himself anymore, even though he's one of like the execs, and seeing a lot of basically people leaving, like really high turnover. The company wasn't doing well. And this is Turkey at the same time. So if we remember, this is a country that it's in socio-political turmoil, like bombings on the street, bombings in the airport, crazy shit. Oh, sorry. Crazy stuff.
Oh my gosh. I think it's the first person that's ever cussed on executive speakers on speakers. Hey, Jen, congratulations. That is so awesome.
Oh.
We're going to have to put a PG-13 label on this one. Oh, you just made my life, Jenn Lim. You just made my life.
If I can do that more, I'll continue that if that makes you happy.
Oh, hey, you keep being your authentic weird self and keep on coming with the story. That's great.
Okay, all right, sweet. So he comes over. We do this master class, and we were doing it in San Francisco at the time. And he just took a gamble. I guess he read the book. He looked at our website, came over, and did this 3-day course, and went back to his company. 10 months later, I get the longest email I've ever received in my life. And he was just saying point by point, story after story of all the things that were changed in his company in this like 10 months time.
Wow.
And it was pretty incredible. Like just like retention, basically turnover was like at 30%, and then it went negative because people started coming back to the company.
What?
Because they started focusing on culture, i.e. people. They had the highest sales and profit ever in the history of their company from that time forward. It was a 2-year span. And the greatest thing that I heard, and this was like a few months ago now, sent us an email and said they won the #1 award for great places to work for small business in Turkey, alongside huge companies like Hilton, Microsoft, H&M, like big brands, right?
All right.
But they won it in a way that they focused on what was important to them.
Yeah. And
they were able to adapt. What I'm calling in this adaptive age, they were adapting to all the changes outside of their control, all the turmoil and socio-politically, but and they won. So here they are, like changed company. And I think that given our current climate of unknowns in the world, it's just a really, like, I feel like I'm just like warm and fuzzy right now talking about it, because there's the financial end of it. There's the fact that, like, if you look on a textbook, business 101, they're a successful company, but they're doing it because they focused on their people.
Interesting. Focusing on the people always works. Hey, so let's chat really quick. What are some of kind of the major pain points that you're hearing from people as you're kind of doing your pre-event phone calls and kind of go around doing keynotes? What are some of the big things that people are seeing or kind of dealing with right now in the marketplace as far as pain points with culture, retention, all that kind of fun stuff?
Yeah, I think it's the most things we've been hearing so far. I mean, well, to this, like currently is this notion of growth and change.
Yeah.
There's like mergers and acquisitions. There's like reorgs all around, and so it's like, okay, what do we do with this? And that, from a people standpoint, that always causes change management is the old school term, but we use culture to put that in place in a more positive spin because that's where we think is more effective. So it's about how do we attract the right people, and how do we retain the awesome people that we have, because everyone has so many more choices these days, and it gets harder and harder to get that alignment. So I think it boils down to that. There's a lot of growth, there's a lot of change, and there's a lot of issues with retaining and attracting people.
Yeah. Cool stuff. All right, Jen, you ready to have some fun? I mean, as if you weren't having enough fun. You ready to have more fun?
I can't imagine how much more fun we can have right now, Steve.
Oh, we can have a lot more fun, Jen, because it's about time for us to play 3 random questions. All right, so here's the deal. I'm going to ask you 3 random questions, and you get to answer them. Okay?
Nice.
If you get them right, you get a ding. If you get it wrong, you get a buzz. All right?
I feel like I'm on a late night show with Steven. What's that guy's name? The guy that does the karaoke in the car. Do you know that show?
James Corden?
Yeah.
Yes.
That
Good.
guy.
That's exactly what I'm going for on a smaller budget. Anyways, so if you get 3 out of 3 right, you're a genius. Congratulations. We'll celebrate how smart you are. If you get 2 out of 3, okay, everything's cool. If you get 1 out of 3, it's okay. Not great, but it's okay. If you get 0 out of 3, then we just mourn. We go through grief together.
Yeah.
All right?
That's where happiness lies, by the way. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, look at that. She's already justifying the fact that she's not going to get any of these right. I've got faith in you, Jen, okay? All right. So Jen lives in the Bay Area, so we're going to have 3 random questions about the Bay Area. All right? Question number 1. This is a true or false question. All right? True or false. So 50-50. I'm getting this right. Okay.
Thanks for that breakdown.
And again, this is all according to Wikipedia because it's like, why not? Okay. Is San Jose a part of the Bay Area? True or false?
I would say true.
Very good, Jen. We're 1 for 1.
Because it's on the Bay.
Yeah, so. There you go. I know. It was an easy one. You overthought that.
I know. I was like, is this a trick question? It's on the Bay. Yeah, okay. Yay.
All right. Question number 2. Okay. Within $50,000, what is the median home price of homes currently listed in San Francisco? Within $50,000, what is the median home price of homes currently listed in San Francisco?
Can I ask a clarifying question? Do you mean San Francisco as the city, like the city proper?
Yes.
Just want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'd say $1.1 million.
Oh, Jen.
Ah!
Oh, Jen. Hey, you were close. It's actually $1.25 million. It's actually $1,249,000 is the median home price.
You said
within $50,000.
You said 50? Oh my God, that's really specific.
Well, it's okay.
But thank you for that. Thank you for the challenging question. Okay.
All right. Question number 3. You ready for this? All right. We're 1 for 2. We're going to nail this last one. Okay. What is the best ice cream shop in San Francisco proper? The best ice cream place in San Francisco proper.
This is a pretty subjective question, so I'm not sure where this is going.
This is according. Hey, this is according to Yelp. Okay. Yelp reviews.
Oh, you can't believe that. Oh, come on. That's BS. I'm calling BS.
Oh, you can't call
I
BS.
want another question.
Oh,
there's no way I'm gonna go by Yelp. There's no way.
Okay, well, hold on for 1 second. If you want another question, you're gonna have to hold on for 1 second. I'm gonna find some. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next question.
But I'm just curious though. Like, what was it on Yelp? I'm just gonna say Smitty just because I don't know. But like, what?
From my research, from my research on
research?
Yelp, again, so I guess I'm subjective or something like that. It was the baked bear.
Yeah, I don't even know that one. So yeah, subjective research on Yelp is bad.
I've never got
double negative.
I feel a little self-conscious. No one's ever like torn apart my questions on this before. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Sorry.
The San Francisco Giants.
Sorry.
All right. My sides hurt. Jenn Lim, are you a comedian? Hey, okay, legitimately, whenever I become host of the Tonight Show, will you be my co-host?
Oh my God. Well, depends. But that sounds intriguing.
What do you mean? Depends on what? I will let you own my core values, okay? Come on now.
Ooh. So that sounds like you're my puppet in that sense. If that's the case, then that's okay.
Okay. Oh, God. Okay. Question number three. Okay. So the San Francisco Giants obviously play in San Francisco at AT&T Park. What is the name of the cove where everyone sits outside of right field in their boats and gets home run balls that splashes down in the water?
Well, number one, it's not called AT&T anymore. So again, your questions are faulty.
Wow.
It's Oracle.
Wow.
The park is called Oracle.
I'm getting.
God. Yeah. I don't know what your research, like I'm putting in air quotes right now, like consists of, but apparently it's not the latest version of the interweb. I might need to check that out.
Okay, fine. At Oracle Park, what is the name of the cove that's right outside of right field where home run balls go, where people are hanging out in in those boats and things like that. The other things like those paddling things. What are they called? Canoes. Thank you, Andrew. God, thank God you're here.
Can Andrew come up with a better question?
I don't know. The question.
No. I feel like Andrew has better things to like add to this conversation.
Oh,
ridiculous.
Okay, fine. Andrew, ask a question. This is Andrew.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew.
Okay, what is the name of the street that the Full House is on?
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Yes. Good job, Andrew. Yeah, Jen. Figure that one out. See whose questions you want now.
Was that in your back pocket? Damn it, Andrew. I thought we were friends. Oh my God. Full House. Shoot. I don't know, man. I'm just going to say something random. Geary? No, that's not it, but I can't even think of it right now.
All right, Andrew, buzzer or dinger, man. It's up to you.
Sorry. It's Broderick Street.
Broderick.
I would have never gotten that.
Matthew Broderick.
Never.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Never.
I should have stuck with Steven. Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah,
you're never getting invited to my house. So thank
you. Yeah. Seriously, should have stuck with Steven. So, Jen, my co-host on the Tonight Show, I'm so glad that we already had this interview and it's going to happen. So, hey, seriously, thank you so much for being you and being awesome and being a guest on the show. Love what y'all are doing at Delivering Happiness. For more information on Jen, go to our website, www.executivespeakers.com. Enter Jenn Lim. You can get speech topics, video, as well as booking information. Jen, thanks so much. We'll definitely have you back on and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Well, thank you. I really enjoyed this. And you as well.
Cool.
If you can help it.